Once upon a time, my life seemed perfectly set up with a promising future ahead. I was engaged to Tyler, a charming man with a flourishing career at a prestigious firm whom everyone considered quite a catch. We were deeply in love, and I was convinced our happiness would last forever. However, life threw a wrench in my plans in the form of my sister Helen's involvement, altering my path unexpectedly. During those difficult times, I felt shattered. Now, though, I've discovered new happiness, and I'm looking forward to sharing it with both my sister and my former fiancé. My name is Lisa. I'm just an average office worker, not particularly striking in appearance, but once, Tyler and I were set to marry. That dream ended abruptly due to my sister. Helen, unlike me, has always paid meticulous attention to her looks and has the natural beauty that caught everyone's eye from a young age. She even dabbled in modeling during her school years and aspired to turn professional. As for me, after college, I settled into a regular corporate role. My acquaintance with Tyler began through work-related dinners. Gradually, these meetings turned into something more, and before I knew it, we were in a relationship. A year into our romance, Tyler proposed, and I accepted with joy. We were elated and soon went to my parents' house to announce our engagement, which was met with great enthusiasm and led to many joyful discussions about wedding plans. This tale might seem like a mere recounting of heartbreak and lost chances, but it's also a story of finding joy in unexpected places and looking forward to new beginnings. Not everyone was as thrilled about my engagement as I was. My younger sister Helen was especially taken aback. Helen had always been the center of attention, admired for her looks and social prowess, and she often belittled my more subdued approach to romance. She used to say, "I don't want my embarrassing sister ruining my reputation." Seeing me, who she viewed as less socially skilled, getting engaged to a successful man from a prestigious company seemed to deeply wound her pride. At the time, I was completely oblivious to the depth of Helen's resentment and missed the subtle signs of her displeasure. One day, Helen asked if she could exchange contact information with Tyler since he was going to be her brother-in-law. Without suspecting her motives, Tyler and I agreed and shared our numbers with her. As my job was drawing to a close, I had many late nights finishing up projects, and it was during one of these nights that Helen enacted her scheme. With our parents out of town, Helen seized her chance. She phoned Tyler, spinning a tale of sudden illness, saying, "Tyler, my sister came home sick, our parents are away, and I feel uneasy being alone." Trusting her words, Tyler hurried over immediately after work, worried and eager to help. Upon his arrival, Tyler was confused but concerned, asking, "I heard Lisa was ill. Where is she?" Helen, caught in her lie, had to admit, "I'm sorry, Tyler, I lied to you. My sister isn't sick, she's still at work." Rather than anger, Tyler was simply baffled. "Why would you lie about something like that?" he asked. Helen, visibly flustered, struggled to explain her actions. Meanwhile, I returned home after my long workday, surprised to find Tyler there. Despite the unexpected circumstances, I greeted him with a cheerful smile, unaware of the tension awaiting me. There I was, greeting Tyler cheerfully, clueless that I was about to face the most profound heartbreak and despair of my life. "Lisa, I'm sorry, I think we should break up," Tyler announced abruptly. His words struck me like a fierce storm, and I was too shocked to grasp their meaning immediately. Stammering, I managed to ask, "Are you serious? Break up? What's going on?" As I pressed him for answers, Helen entered the room, her presence casting a heavy shadow. "Lisa, the truth is, I've been seeing Helen. I'm sorry, but I've fallen in love with her more than I realized," Tyler confessed. His admission left me reeling, struggling to process the betrayal. Adding to the shock, Helen said, "I'm sorry, Lisa, but he has decided to marry me." The world seemed to spin as I stood there, utterly shattered. Then, with a clumsy attempt at consolation, Helen added, "You might not want to come to our wedding ceremony, but please come to the reception, won't you?" All I could do was cry. Helen had taken everything from me. I felt completely abandoned, and the pain was unbearable. My parents watched with deep concern as I retreated to my room, overwhelmed by grief. Having already quit my job, I felt powerless. Messages from former coworkers inquiring about the wedding only deepened my sorrow. I replied that it would be a simple family affair, trying to mask my anguish. Months later, I found myself in a new place, determined to start over and find true happiness. After retreating for a while, a newfound resolve stirred within me. Why should I continue to suffer? It was time to move on. I discussed it with my parents, and we decided I should leave home and start anew in a completely different environment. The new place, surrounded by lush greenery, felt like a breath of fresh air. My parents supported my decision wholeheartedly, helping me significantly with the move. Shortly after settling in, while taking a moment to relax, my mom approached me with surprising news. "When you were in your room, Tyler came by. He explained everything that happened between you two and apologized. I couldn't understand why my parents were talking about forgiveness. What Tyler had done seemed unforgivable to me. There they were, my parents, their expressions filled with regret and remorse as they spoke. We've heard about Helen. We understand why you can't forgive her, Lisa, but remember, she's our daughter too," they explained. It was clear they were deeply troubled by the situation, torn between their two daughters. Despite their disapproval of Helen's actions and the pain she had inflicted on me, Helen had made her choice and pursued a relationship with Tyler. Since then, Tyler had adopted a daily ritual of visiting our home, pleading for forgiveness, and seeking their blessing for his marriage to Helen. Overwhelmed by his persistence, my parents eventually relented, and that was why they were apologizing to me for accepting his union with Helen. "I don't dwell on it anymore, but I understand," I replied, managing a bittersweet smile while holding back tears. My mom looked visibly emotional, and my dad's face showed a pained expression of apology. Despite everything, I reassured them, "When I have children, I'll lean on you both a lot." Their expressions softened into smiles at my words. Still teary-eyed, my mom added, "Don't hesitate to reach out if you need anything." As I settled into my new life, I found some peace of mind working at a cozy little restaurant. The team was small, but the atmosphere was bright and welcoming, which I greatly appreciated. The friendly banter among the staff, especially the playful teasing directed at our manager Charles, added to the warmth of the place. A few months into my job, a pivotal event unfolded that would shape my future. One evening, Charles offered me a ride home after work and confessed his feelings for me. I was taken aback and unsure. Charles was undeniably a good guy, kind-hearted, with both charm and a friendly demeanor that many found appealing. Yet, I couldn't shake off the past hurt that still lingered within me. I feared the possibility of facing abandonment once again. Charles seemed to sense my hesitation and reassured me, "There's no rush for an answer," before heading home for the day. Despite the initial awkwardness, the camaraderie with the part-time staff and Charles's kindness helped ease my worries. Deep down, I felt my heart was already making a decision. During a break, I discovered something about Charles's past that made me see him in a new light. It turned out he had been betrayed by someone he had been dating and had a rough experience at his previous workplace before joining the restaurant. This shared experience of betrayal created an unexpected bond between us, hinting at the possibility of a new beginning. We both had faced betrayal by those we trusted deeply, a painful similarity that brought us closer. One day, I chose to accompany Charles on his way home to hear more about his experiences. As we walked, he shared his story. He had managed a store, but due to unfortunate events, the store's reputation plummeted and eventually shut down. Charles took most of the blame and lost his job, a heavy burden he carried. As he finished his tale, I felt a strong connection and shared my reasons for ending up at the restaurant. When I concluded, Charles looked at me with genuine kindness and said, "You are incredibly strong." His words struck a chord with me, acknowledging the resilience I had mustered through all the pain I'd endured. It was precisely the affirmation I needed. In return, I admired his strength too, saying, "You've done amazingly well too." His smile widened, and at that moment, I found the courage to address his earlier confession. "I might be a handful, but I hope you'll be patient with me," I told him. From then on, the playful teasing from the part-timers at the restaurant seemed to increase, but it was all in good spirits. "Congratulations! Wishing you both a lifetime of happiness," they cheered, genuinely happy for us. "That's a bit premature. There's a right time for that wine and it'll come around again." "When it does, you better let me say it," Charles joked, slightly flustered as I laughed along with everyone else. It was a moment of pure joy, a typical day in our evolving lives. Then, unexpectedly, for the second time in my life, I was proposed to. Without hesitation, I accepted, determined to find lasting happiness this time. I truly believed that Charles was the one who could make me happy. Excited, I visited my parents' house for the first time in a while to share the news. My parents were overjoyed when I told them about Charles. As they met him, their expressions were warm and accepting. "Please make our daughter happy. We trust you," they told him. Charles responded with confidence, "I will make Lisa happy." We all chatted for a while, and amidst the conversation, my dad cautiously brought up that Helen and Tyler were planning to get married. He mentioned that an invitation might be sent our way, but reassured me that there was no pressure to attend. Honestly, the news didn't bother me. I was too engrossed in my newfound happiness and wanted to celebrate it without restraint. When I shared this sentiment with my parents, they supported my decision wholeheartedly, trusting my judgment. A few days later, the invitation to Helen's wedding did arrive. Charles and I decided that we would attend together. Considering Helen's upcoming wedding, Charles and I chose to have a simple legal marriage for the time being. We thought it would be less overwhelming for our parents and other relatives to have our celebrations spaced out. We promised each other a proper wedding ceremony once things settled down. On the day of Helen's wedding, Charles and I arrived together. It had been a while since I had seen Helen and Tyler, and there was an unmistakable tension as we exchanged greetings with family members. When I introduced Charles as my husband, Helen's reaction was one of visible surprise, a moment that I etched into my memory. During the event, curiosity got the better of me, and I found myself wanting to ask Tyler about the day Helen had misled him into thinking I was ill. Initially hesitant, Tyler eventually opened up to me. He recounted how Helen had called him that day, falsely claiming I was suddenly sick. Tyler had decided to wait for me, but Helen arrived with strong drinks and coaxed him to indulge. Not usually a heavy drinker, Tyler had let his guard down and had a few too many. Tyler, under the influence and in a vulnerable state, was seduced by Helen. He confessed that her allure and demeanor clouded his judgment, leading him to succumb to temptation despite our engagement. His focus shifted towards her thereafter. As Tyler apologized repeatedly, I felt indifferent. What truly mattered was that I finally knew the truth. Meanwhile, I noticed Charles and Helen deep in conversation at the wedding. I was curious about what they were discussing, but decided to ask Charles about it later. On our way home, I couldn't resist questioning him. "Were you upset when you were talking to Helen?" I asked. Charles sighed and shared more of his past with me. As I mentioned before, she's my ex who betrayed me. But there's more. She's also the reason I lost my job. I was taken aback by the revelation. It felt like such a small world. Learning that Helen had a direct hand in the downfall of Charles's store added another layer of shock. I delved deeper into the story. It turned out that a few months into Helen's relationship with Charles, she had an affair with a designer, believing that dating someone in the modeling industry would advance her career despite being with Charles. When Charles inadvertently discovered the affair, he confronted Helen. Rather than showing remorse, Helen reacted with anger, and their relationship ended abruptly. But Helen's vindictiveness didn't stop there. In her anger, she fabricated a scandal involving foreign objects and dishes from Charles's restaurant and shared the fake photo on social media. Given her substantial following from her modeling career, the damage was significant. The photos that Helen maliciously shared went viral, casting a shadow of negativity over the restaurant Charles managed. The backlash was swift, and the negative publicity reached Charles's boss, who had trusted him with the business. With profits already in decline, the scandal led to the restaurant's closure and Charles losing his job, bearing the blame unjustly. He harbored deep resentment, unaware of the true culprit behind the fabricated scandal. Amidst this chaos, Charles eventually uncovered the truth. During a casual outing with a friend, he learned that a friend of his girlfriend had seen Helen boasting on social media about her role in shutting down a restaurant, not knowing it was Charles's. The friend relayed this information to Charles. Although now armed with the knowledge of who was responsible, it was too late to rectify the situation. Resolving to move forward, Charles decided to make a fresh start, which is when our paths crossed. When I approached Charles, I apologized for my sister's actions. "I'm sorry for what my sister did. I'm the sister of the person who caused you so much trouble. I didn't know how to face you, fearing you might hate me," I confessed. Charles's response was unexpectedly compassionate. "It's all in the past, Lisa. None of this was your fault," he assured me. His words brought me immense relief and reaffirmed our decision to pursue happiness together. Later, Helen faced repercussions for her actions. She had arranged a photo shoot at an unexpected location. Our home, known for its lush greenery and picturesque backdrop, presumably as part of her efforts to advance her modeling career. This incident occurred during a dinner at the restaurant Charles used to manage. By then, I was no longer working there, but I heard about the incident afterward. Recognizing Helen at the entrance, Charles promptly intervened. "I'm sorry, but I can't allow you to enter here," he told her firmly, denying her and her group access. This prompted the staff to inquire about the situation, to which Charles disclosed Helen's past actions and the hardships he had endured because of her. Charles firmly explained his decision to the staff gathered around. "I have evidence to support my concerns. I can't risk another incident like the past, so I must refuse her entry." The room fell into stunned silence as Helen visibly paled, absorbing the impact of Charles's words. Additionally, Charles expressed his intention to inform the president of the company where Helen was about to start her new job about her dubious past. The individual who had scouted Helen for the role was shocked and urged Charles to reconsider, but he stood firm on his decision. As a result of Charles's actions, Helen's scheduled photo shoot was abruptly canceled, and word of the incident quickly spread throughout the industry. Her aspirations of becoming a model were dashed, as no one wanted to associate with someone who had been involved in such a significant scandal. Amidst this turmoil, I learned from my mom that Tyler's company was also facing challenges, with declining performance that put him at risk of demotion. She shared her concerns about what the future might hold for them, reflecting the complex web of consequences from past actions. Despite these tumultuous events, Charles and I continued to find joy in our days together. Today marks the eve of our long-awaited wedding. We have both faced considerable challenges, but now we're brimming with happiness and excitement about our future. There's also a new life growing within me, adding to our joy. At a gathering with the staff from the restaurant where we first met, they cheerfully repeated a familiar phrase, "Congratulations, wishing you a lifetime of happiness." Overwhelmed with gratitude, I respond, "Thank you." And before everyone gathers, I pledge I will always cherish our family and seek happiness forevermore. This moment, surrounded by well-wishers and filled with optimism, marks a poignant chapter in our journey together.